Since the Egyptian army and police turned their guns on pro-Morsi protesters in Cairo yesterday, more than 500 people have died and over 4,000 have been injured. Has democratic Egypt become a mirage?
Yes, I would have to say so. I mean, you can't have political reconciliation while you're slaughtering your people, especially a segment of the population that has a lot of support and that views this as an illegitimate military-led government. I mean, Mike, as you know, at the end of the day, this is a state of emergency that's been declared for the past 3 decades under Mubarak. That's exactly what the situation was. So we're regressing now. And the most troubling thing is that this happened in defiance of, European and American officials who were calling and urging General Sisi, the head of the military in Egypt, not to do this. We're waiting for Obama to speak. Of course, we saw Secretary Kerry speak yesterday, completely contradicting what he said a week or 2 ago, which was that the military is restoring democracy. The interim cabinet saying that this is an exercise of restraint, praising the military for exercising restraint. And
was that before or after yesterday?
It was after the violent crackdown that the interim cabinet, which was appointed by the military, was, praising what was happening, saying that this was exercising restraint. I mean, popular opinion in Egypt is against the Brotherhood. They did screw up, for lack of a better term. They didn't manage, or, their style of governance. They marginalized many people, put themselves above all other powers. But the most troubling thing, Mike, from my perspective, is, that the U.S. is not giving or not willing to call this what it is, which is a coup.
Might we hear that perhaps in 10:15 this morning when President Obama does speak?
That's the million-dollar question, or I should say the $1.3
billion,
$1.8, I guess, at this point. I hope we hear something more, more determined, let's say, from Obama. I mean, he was at Martha's Vineyard when all of this was happening. Secretary Kerry, mentioned that what happened in Egypt was deplorable, that this was a blow to peace. I mean, those are both obvious statements. So the U.S. really not adding much to the conversation as of yet. I would hope that Obama actually puts his money where his mouth is.
If you look at the Obama administration's record on responding to the unrest in the Middle East during his administration, he tries to take as long as possible before making a move. I think this particular instance, it's really hard to wait much longer because we're talking here in this case just about removing American aid that's currently flowing to Egypt, not talking yet about any kind of military intervention or anything like that. And it's very difficult for the United States to maintain its posture in the world as a defender of human rights, as a force for good in global geopolitical politics, while actually financing regimes that are slaughtering their people by the hundreds. That's really, really problematic on a whole host of other just practical levels, aside from the moral quandary of actually financing violence like this. So I don't know. I think Obama appreciates. I'm sure Obama appreciates the severity of the situation. But whether he's ready to actually make a move on some sort of policy platform, I mean, this would be a relatively minor step. Also, we're just talking about cutting off aid, not any kind of more aggressive step at this point. But the Obama administration has been reluctant to make decisions. It's had a wait and see attitude on a lot of this stuff, which in many cases has been smart. The U.S. role in the Middle East has been really hamstrung by the events in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I think we'll just have to wait and see.
As you know, anti-American sentiment in Egypt's been rising. I was on CNBC yesterday with an ambassador who lived in Egypt, Ambassador Ginsburg, and it was really surprising to me that for 5 minutes we had a candid conversation about how America's standing in the world is deteriorating as a result of the way that they have the selective approach as to when they want to intervene, when they want to stand up for human rights. And the military junta, the military government in Egypt, I lived there for 10 years, as you know, Zach, has never, ever respected human rights. They see everything through, perhaps as they should, the security lens, and they've been lying about the fact that they were using live ammunition. I mean, we saw the New York Times reporter, the Washington Post bureau chief, Josh Hirsch, our own HuffPost correspondent, confirming that there was live ammunition used in the slaughtering of Egyptian citizens. And of course, the military is denying all of this. It's really smoke and mirrors to me, Mike.